Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. My name's Dan Kennett, and with me to discuss two more fantastic matches, the second leg against Benfica and the epic FA Cup semi-final against Manchester City. We don't have the four-man crew today because it is a bank holiday. We are recording middle of the afternoon on Bank Holiday Monday. But I do have my namesake, Mr. Daniel Rose, data collection and video analyst guru. Afternoon, Rosie.
Afternoon, birthday boy.
Hey. So how many hours collection was the semi-final?
It was 8, but that was mainly because I couldn't get a decent video for the first half, and so I was having to use the BBC iPlayer, which is absolutely shocking for collecting pressing. But then Gag saved me for the second half, so that was a lot.
It's not the best for pause and rewind, is it? The iPlayer, it's a bit clunky.
No, you can only pause, and then you've just got to do it with your mouse. It's God, it was slow, and then it was a record for a first half for any.
This is the level of dedication we go to with these pressing collections. But Rhodesy, not even Stats Bomb have got the pressures for this match. Nope. We're the only people who've got the pressures for this Liverpool match. Yeah. Thanks to you. That's what we do.
It was worth it. Had it been the other way around, I'm not sure I'd have been up at half 4.
That's what we're talking about, though, isn't it, Si? That's the level of dedication goes in.
Yeah, exactly. This is the good stuff. This is the next level analysis you don't get anywhere else.
Yeah, and then you heard him there. I'm surprised he's not winning league titles with Derby Ladies FC again, But he's here. He's taking his time off from his sunny bank holiday. It's Mr. Simon Brundish. Afternoon, Si.
Happy birthday, Darth.
Thank you very much, guys. So we are going to spend a quick 15 minutes on the Benfica match. And we didn't collect the pressing on this one because we decided that the match was won in the first leg. And I think, Si, judging by our team selection, the manager thought the match was won in the first leg as well. And we just decided to have some fun. But I just wanted to ask a serious point here that you've been reflecting on this in recent days. Is that just the elite nature of the load management of the players that we are seeing? Do you want to just cover that? Why you're so impressed with what we're doing here with the squad, and then and the way it's played out with these two fixtures as well?
Well, basically, he's never done it before, and it's never been done by anybody at this level. So he's keeping a rotation really of 17 players, primed, fit, ready to go, and fresh. There's a spectrum of that, so some are playing slightly less than others, some are playing slightly more than the average, but everybody, the whole side, despite playing pretty much the most football it's possible to in any domestic season, alongside the most intense international period in history, no player, not one of our players is going to get a career max this season. That a career max is the most minutes they've played in a year. Yeah. So,
there has been a backlog of international fixtures, like you say, because of COVID, hasn't there? And they've shoehorned extra international breaks in, haven't they, for the guys? Some of the guys have played up to 11 internationals. Is that right?
Some of them have played 12 internationals, but Robbo's played 11 internationals, and he didn't even have to play AFCON.
Yeah.
So COVID plus the garbage that international football are just see an opportunity to rake money out of people, and that's the COVID opened an extra opportunity with an extra international break for them, and they kept it when they didn't need to, and so there was a whole bunch of extra. So there were 5 extra friendlies this year that have never existed before, and we eventually only in March pulled players out injured. But until then, they were playing all the games, 2 games in 10 days, like everybody else. In high, some of them Robbo and Sadio and Mo in the most extreme circumstances.
Yeah.
So this it's just unbelievable that they've maintained this level of quality with this amount of minutes played.
And just for anybody who knew who might be listening, one of your mantras is that injuries don't care what jersey you're wearing. You know, when you're playing, and that's why the international minutes are so important, aren't they? In the overall context of players, the managing the players, yeah.
Of course, there was loads of stuff. People have cottoned on to how many minutes, to how many games are being played, and this week with journos, after what after City lost, that Pep's got a smaller squad. Blah 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 blah. Poor Pep. Look at Liverpool's team, and they've got this whole bunch of lads that are under 1,800 minutes, but. While Pep doesn't have any because all of his has to play so much. Well, one, that's his choice. He's created a squad. He's created a squad with twice as much money as we have.
Yeah,
and that's really conservative estimate on how much he spent. But those numbers aren't even true because that doesn't factor in how much. So he said. So the article in the Times said that Naby had played under 1,800 minutes. Well, he hasn't. He's played 2,300 minutes.
Once you factor in Guinea.
That's 6 games more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's garbage. Bobby's played over 1,800 minutes, which he said was under. It's just silly. And Konate too. Konate's at 19 and a half and he hasn't even played internationals. Yeah. So but the way that just from a sports science perspective, you don't want to increase really your career average by more than 30% year on year.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's a red flag. And we currently have 2 players above a 30% career average year. And one of them is Diaz. One of them is Diaz because he's nothing to do with us. He just came in with a massive load and he seems to be a machine like Suarez. Yeah. And then Matip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's got over his and what an amazing season he's had.
Yeah, and he's had a career 5,000 minute career season before,
but not for a while.
It's just the last 3 seasons he's been suffering from the same injury, which eventually got fixed.
Yeah. So going back to Benfica, 7 changes, wasn't there? 3 of the back 4 changed. Fab and Thiago dropped out, and we got Milderson in for this one. Both the front 5 rotation continued as well. Bobby and Diogo came in. It's just unbelievable. And then
it's unbelievable. But if you put Darth, if you put in context, right? Of I've shared graphics with you guys before, but so an average number of minutes per week. That's what. So we have a chronic load, we have an acute load. We've talked about those on here a lot of times before, but we've not really talked about the average number of minutes a week over the course of a career that our players have. And what he's done is he's kept everybody within 10 minutes of that average.
Yeah. So the levels that they are used to, the levels that they're used to historically. Exactly. Yeah.
So anybody that's gone up, the fullbacks even, he's brought them within line of their minutes played. But even he's managed to, because Gomez and Tsimikas is so goddamn brilliant. Yeah. He's managed to lower their chronic load to below their career average right now, so that they're still fresh enough to play.
Yeah. So we have a elite to world class sports science team anyway. Yeah. But I guess the big thing is that other clubs can also have elite sports science teams. But the difference is the manager listens to them and follows through on their recommendations. Yeah. That's the difference.
It's exactly it. Yeah. Ours are fully integrated, but to be fair to other clubs, ours can be fully integrated, because the manager has been here so long, so they're his people. He has got no risk of getting sacked, while the others they're flying by the seat of their pants because they don't want to. There is significant risk of them getting sacked. So absolutely, Klopp is doing a wonderful job, but circumstance, he didn't used to do such a wonderful job. But he has improved. They've improved. The circumstances are perfect, and he's taking full advantage of those circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think was it, and it was 7 changes for Benfica and another 5 back for the City game. Was that right? Or was it 6 for the City game?
7-7.
7 and 7. It's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Right. Anyway, Rhodesy, stay on the line there, Rhodesy, buddy. To give us that match summary for that fantastic Benfica match. I should have said I was at that game. It was just an absolute belting match to watch.
Right, it's very, very similar in terms of your broad stats to the first leg. We had 17 shots in both legs. And we conceded 6 in this. The non-penalty XG was 2.1 to 1.1. So the difference with this one is we had 17 shots in the first leg and 8 big chances. We had 17 shots in this and only 2 big chances. But yeah, again, we had 12 shots in the box in this game, 12 shots in the box in the first leg. Little info goal ladders quite low, 1.8, but 538 had us at 2.3. Again, you know, it's a difference in the models. But overall, I think Cayley had it at 6 to 2.4 or something across both legs. So no, although the score ended up at 6-4, we were 6-2 up, and that kind of looks right, doesn't it? If you look across the legs, you know, 10 big chances to I think they had 5. Yeah, it was. Again, I think we'll come to this in the City game. I think the score flattered them.
Yeah, three VAR reviewed goals, Rhodesy.
Well, that first, their second goal, that offside. I don't know how he flagged that, because he was miles on, and then that third one was really tight, so you can understand that. But I thought in the Champions League they were supposed to leave it. But yeah,
the first one was VAR reviewed as well, because it was, I think, for the ricochet, wasn't it? And who played it through?
Yeah.
And it came off Milner, didn't it?
Milner's assist, wasn't it?
But it was even though it was unintentional, it doesn't matter, does it? But yeah, I don't think I've ever known 3 VAR reviewed goals for a team in the same match. That was quite remarkable. It was a bit frustrating actually in the stands.
Nunes himself, when Alisson made that save at the end, didn't he score another when he was offside? He looked absolutely fuming. I think he had one disallowed, didn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, decent player.
Yeah, he was a good player. But to be honest, though, Rhodesy, I mean, considering it's the first time that back forward played together, it wasn't. You know, maybe you're not going to hold the best line, are you? Whether it's high or whether it's mid or low, you know, they haven't played together enough to do that offside trap, have they?
Well, yeah, you said it in the group. You know, if Virgil's not there, or you haven't got the usual back four, which it takes a long time to get that in sync to be able to trust each other, to hold the lines. You can understand it with 7 changes as well.
Yeah, but yeah, it was But most importantly, in this game, right? In this game, Rhodesy, right? I asked you guys in the group, and I've asked the listeners who are listening live, just type in the live show chat, how many set piece goals have we scored this season? Because we saw another 2 in the Benfica match, and another one in the classic one in the City game. Because these were our 27th, 28th, and 29th set play goals this season, and it's just what we are doing, Rhodesy, has never been seen before in football. The level of set piece shots and the level of set piece goals. No one has seen this, have they?
Nope. It's incredible. And we have discussed in the past about whether some of it's down to luck and some of it's down to organisation. I think we are definitely getting to the stage where a lot of this is planned and rehearsed, and it
goes back right to pre-season. It goes back to Neuro 11. The neuroscientists coming into the training ground, and it's all about that what they do, training the brain, the things they do to visualize the brain where they want the ball to end up after they've struck it. And if you look at what we're doing with the accuracy of these deliveries, I mean, all 3 goals in these 2 games scored from outswingers, which nearly every single goal was scoring from a corner, and a set play delivery is from an outswinger. So I've got some stats on these which we're going to need to cover. I'm just looking for my little I just did the bespoke chart on this. Let me just copy that into live show chat now. So this is
What does Si think in terms of whether it's fortunate or not?
Or skill?
Or skill? What's your balance?
I think we've got great skill. I think we're going through a bout of luck.
With the ones that are going in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Ibu is a better header of the ball than Van Dijk. They just happen to be going in. I think we've missed a bunch that could easily have gone in early in the season. We create a huge number of these chances. We've got loads of big lads. It's really, really good planning. But set pieces, there is a huge level of randomness in set pieces.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there is always randomness, absolutely. And but
we scored our first shot in 3 consecutive games.
Mm-hmm. And going back to what we were saying in the title winning season side, those latest stats there are we've played in the last 21 matches. We've opened the score in 17 of those 21 matches, and 10 of the openers have been set plays, including the last 2 games.
We're going to talk when we talk about the second game in this. There is so much narrative around what happened here, what happened there, what caused this. Set play changes everything in every game. Getting ahead changed everything, and we're really good at it. We're a little bit lucky. Great. And we don't make mistakes.
So, just on the totals, Rhodesy, we know from the Premier League you can get set play shots going back 10 years or so, and the record for a season there is 4.8 per game over a 38-game season. And if you look at that chart I just pasted, we are at 4.9 per game in all comps.
Wow!
And we're on track to play 62 matches currently in all comps. Hopefully 63 when we get past Villarreal, which is the most we could possibly play, which is just nuts. 5.2 per game in the Premier League, 4.9 in all comps, 29 goals from set play. So that's 19 from corners, 1 from a direct free kick, and 9 from other set play deliveries into the box. In terms of the goal scorers, Fabinho's and Bobby are top with 4 each, and then Ibu, Van Dijk, Jota, and Salah have all got 3 each from set plays. And we've had 8 headers direct from a set play or corner delivery, all of them since this run started in early January. All 8 of those headed goals have been since early January.
And while I do tend to have some sympathy with the fact that some of it is luck, if you are having record levels of set piece opportunities, you might more likely to score as well as the extra stuff. So it might only be 4 or 5% that we've swung it in our direction, but again, if you keep
it's an advantage.
High, exactly.
And there is an edge, maybe not surprisingly, Rhodes, if you look at that chart in the Champions League, where we've scored 31% of all our goals in the Champions League this season have been from set plays, and our conversion rate is at 17%. Now we do have a very big, very dominant team, and we play in the most physical league. So is it maybe not surprised that we can really exploit that when it comes to playing continental teams?
Absolutely,
do you think?
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
But it's a real thing. We talked about it literally since I think the Chelsea game was the first time. The 1-1 against Chelsea was the first time we discussed about the volume of shots we were getting from set plays was unprecedented, and it's been a theme of the season. And right in the last month, it's just been so critical with the opening goals as well.
Is our previous record? Because I remember editing a chapter for a book about our set pieces in 2013-14. Is that our previous record for set piece goals?
I can check that season in terms of what we actually managed, but I'd only be able to get the Premier League.
Had a lot of fortune in because that wasn't a team that you would think would score lots of set piece goals because you've got we didn't do it before and we didn't do it after with those players, but we have done it with these players before. Yeah, and now we've taken it to another level.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real bonus at the moment. Absolute bonus situation for us. Final word on this one, Rosie. Were you watching at home on TV? I was there at the stadium. Did you feel it was ever the result of the match was ever in doubt? Did you?
We went 4-1 up. They only had 6 shots. 2 of their big chances, or maybe 2 of their big chances, came when we were 6-2 up on aggregate. At no point, no, not once. Maybe a little bit of doubt when they went. Oh, I thought they'd gone 4-3, but they didn't. And then Alisson made that save. But other than that, no.
Yeah. But I guess that's one thing we
Was you were there?
No, I just thought it was great fun, and I just thought the whole evening was. I thought it was like the whole. There was a bit of a party atmosphere. I thought inside the ground. It was. I think because no one was really worried at all about the possibility of going out, and so everybody was quite relaxed. And it was a. I mean, the Klopp spent the whole second half singing the new love song to Kloppo, the Beatles song. It was just amazing. It was just like a big party. It was fantastic.
Like the 60s.
Yeah, it was like old school. That was really nice. Really, really good song, by the way. That one. Yeah, but I guess this is where we need to come onto the City game, because we make 7 changes because the game was pretty much won for the first leg against Benfica, and we could rotate heavily. And City go to Madrid. They choose not. I don't know if they made any changes from the game that played us. Maybe 1 or 2. They go there, they play a full strength team because they're in a much closer situation, and they basically get dragged down into a street fight, don't they, against Atletico, and pick up a couple of injuries, don't they?
Yeah, it was brilliant. He has chosen to keep a relatively small squad. It is what it is. It cost us last season greatly, and it's costing them now. And he hasn't been making proactive choices that Klopp has. So he hasn't been reducing the acute load of players to maintain a good, effective chronic load. He has been thrashing his players, and then he would go. He picks players on merit. On, I don't know, we're going to go through a period where you're going to do this thing. I'm not entirely sure. He hated Raheem at the beginning of the season. He loved Grealish. There was a 6-week period where Mahrez played every game, and then he doesn't. There's not been weekly changes, which is what Klopp has consistently been doing. We've been averaging 3.8 changes a match. That's next level rotation.
Yeah.
And so you reap what you sow.
So basically Walker picked up an injury, and he wasn't even in the squad for the game. And then De Bruyne, it turns out, Pep says post-match after Wembley, he was never in a position to come on, even though he was like kind of posturing and he, doing up his boots and stuff like that. So obviously he had a bad enough knock not to come on. Diaz, they've tried the horse placenta, didn't they, and stuff, and he's to make him rush back from his hamstring, and he had a relapse, didn't he? So, and they picked up another one, didn't they, against Jesus? Got an injury as well against us, I think. So they have got
too much. Hurt his own foot.
And Dan, what about Foden? Was concussed, want to say?
Oh God, yeah.
Foden was concussed and still carried on in that game. And then Grealish, obviously broke some of his hair follicles from swearing at the old City Savage, the City lad. The whole affair was tremendous. Like, it couldn't have gone better for us in the context of our season than drawing Atleti, and I'm not sure it could have gone better than them actually scraping through. I think it's actually a benefit to us.
Yeah. Because, as we always say, the injuries are cumulative. It's like dominoes, isn't it? Now they're picking up more and more, and they've got more. They've got this really intense period to play. They've got the semi-final game as well around the league schedule, and all we need is for them to slip up in a couple of league games, isn't it? That's that's all it's going to take.
Yeah,
for us.
we've got an insane 10 games in 31 days. They had 10 in 30, and it's the most intense period since 17-18 Christmas. Wow. This is pretty much unprecedented. And we have the biggest squad we've ever had. Or it's not true. We have the biggest squad of this quality that are actual first teamers that we've ever had. The squad that Brendan left with 407 Aspasers and a Saidi or whoever they are, like that squad was massive. But they were all rubbish, so no one could get a game. But this squad, we've just got actual interchangeable pieces.
Yeah.
Pick which tool you want to solve the problem we're playing against, and we gave them a different look than we did in the previous week, and it had a very different outcome.
So let's just do the City lineups, the City selection choices first, right? So we've already mentioned the injuries there, but they do choose to make. I would say the goalkeeper was a choice. Ake was a choice over Laporte. And Fernandinho was a choice over Rodri. They were all managerial choices, yeah?
Yeah, not injury choices. I think the keeper, which was probably turned out to be the biggest decision in our favour. I think that is just like I had this discussion with my wife, how she thought how ridiculous it was, and I think a manager has to make promises at the beginning of a season. To keep a reserve goalie, and you can't go back on those promises, otherwise you lose the dressing room, because he's got friends in that room too. So he can't all of a sudden keep Pig Edison ahead of him when he's promised that this is his competition this season. So he has to play.
Yeah.
And Fernandinho came in because that was the one real level for level, and then you got Mahrez to fit in somewhere. That can mitigate some of Rodri's chronic load, because it's off the chart. He's playing all the time. So at some point he got to prioritize, and he's prioritized the league and the Champions League over the FA Cup, because he's won the FA Cup 407 times in a row, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
407 FA Cup wins and 407 Asaibis.
So I would say, like, you touched on it there, Si. Then we gave City a different look compared to the week before, and I'd say there was it 3 personnel changes from the previous Sunday. So we went with Konate over Matip. We went with Keita over Henderson, and we went with Diaz over Jota. Yeah. And how did that alter the way we approached the match side? Those personnel changes. I saw Gag was on the show. He was saying he thinks this is our best 11 to play City. He's not saying play every game, but play City. He thinks that this is our best match. If you remember,
in the group before the first City game, I was worried about how we would build, how we would create possession in a threatening sense to get it through the forwards. And because we got 3 lads who play really high up the pitch, unless you're going to drop Mo in, but then if you're going to drop Mo in, you've got Henderson, who is just in his way, or you're relying on brilliance of Thiago or Trent. And this way, you've got Naby, who carries the ball at the best level of any of our midfielders, and then you've got the penetration of Thiago, but also you've got Diaz, who retains possession better than any of our forwards. He also carries the ball like Mane did 3 or 4 years ago, so he progresses through the lines.
Yeah.
And Mane is doing in this game for the first time. He did a fairly decent job with his back to goal, dropping in and
he did. Tremendous,
and busying around Fernandinho. Yeah. So we had that connection, and we had the interchange with the 8s and the forwards, which we were missing in the last game, and it allowed us to retain possession, and we were really flexible. Not in the way people talk about flexibility is interchanging of positions, but that's not it. It's like it's an interchanging of zones on the pitch. So it's interrelationships between sections of the team. So they all interact well. When one section moves forward, another section creates vertical depth. And when one section goes wide one side, the other section comes in. And it's that which worked really well in this game. So there were 1, no holes when we were trying to press, but 2, they were wide, which spread the opposition out, which spread City out, and created and made them both nervous, but also they have to mark some really, they have to cover an awful lot of territory on the Wembley pitch. And we were playing really narrow with the ball, and then wide without it in the last game. So it was the opposite way around, and we were much more compact, and then we sprung wide in this game really, really well.
So do you think there was, in your mind, that there was evidence of lessons learned from last Sunday's match by the backroom team for us, with the way with our game plan for this match and our selection?
Yeah, I'd say that, but I'd also say that we can talk about selections all we like. The biggest difference in this game was that Van Dijk and Fabinho weren't terrible in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is what we spent the majority of last week's show talking about. Well, so you guys did, because my internet was so terrible. So yes, and it was brilliant. Absolutely. So before we start breaking down that first half, Rhodey, do you want to give us that match summary?
Yes, so as we were discussing in the group earlier, it finished kind of even. 11 shots to 10, 2 non-penalty XG to 1.6, 7 shots on target to 6, 9 shots in the box each, and 3 big chances each. But I think the key is if you just look at half time, they had the initial shot from Grealish after 3 minutes that was blocked, and then we had 4 unanswered. We had 1.2 XG to 0.1 XG. Obviously, the 3 goals. We don't have as many stats for the FA Cup, but I think we can. I think we can say it was very game state driven, and the fact that we were 3-0. When teams have a big lead, they do. The other team, especially if it's a quality side like City, are likely to have more shots. You are going to let them have. We aren't going to commit as many men forward, and I think that is what happened. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one side because Side's got a different view.
Did you notice that we in the 3 matches between us and City this season, it's a 23% shot conversion.
Yes. Yeah,
it's nuts, isn't it? The keepers have got a combined 56% save percentage between the keepers.
How do we explain that? I was trying to figure out what could be. Is it just the quality of the finishing? Is it poor goalkeeper performances? Is it?
Well, I think deflections as well. City have had 2 deflections in there, which you could argue Alisson would have said those wouldn't have been goals. I think.
2 big deflections, 2 set pieces, and a goalie throws 1 in.
Yeah,
that's 5.
Yeah. 5 goals there. So yeah, it's obviously small samples, but we've got 7 goals from 15 shots on target. City have got 6 goals from 14 shots on target. But it's just a quirk, and it's one of those things that you think if there is a 4th meeting between the seeds this season, there's going to be 30 shots without any goals, like like the Chelsea game, like the Chelsea final, that kind of
8
thing.
big chances each, 30 shots each,
0-0. Yeah. Anyway, you heard it here first, people. Right. Okay. But yeah, so we talked about the changes in the game plan, Si, and we like the passing network. Well, we like it more than you, but I just wanted to what did you see in our build-up that was different in terms of right from we obviously did a lot of building from the back, and the way if you look at the passing network, it looks very different when compared. It's like a huge V, right, from the keeper up to the Robbo on the left wing and up to Trent on the right wing, with nothing laterally across inside our own half. Do you think that network is an accurate visualization of what we did on the pitch?
I don't like passing networks. I don't think they represent very much at all. They mainly represent volume. I think the things that we did were because of the things that City did. I think City didn't press our back line as intently as they had done. And we had, but there was always, we always had 2 midfielders making angles to receive passes from the defence, and we were only doing that with 1 for the first game, and that's a huge thing. So we retained possession at a much higher level than we did in the first 15 minutes of the first game, and I think the first 15 minutes was everything. That we gave the ball away, they built pressure. And the whole momentum thing that we analysts hate, but they did. And in this game, we had more of the ball just about, and we, without really forcing play either end, we both by the time we scored, we both had we scored from our first shot, but
we scored from our first 3 shots ineffectively, really, because
unless
you really count the
because Robbo's was.
Yeah.
So, but my point is that they had a shot first. They had 3 touches in our box. When we scored, that was our 3rd touch inside the box. Like, we weren't imposing ourselves. We just weren't doing anything stupid. And in the first game, we did lots of stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So we just kept it calm. We allowed them to make mistakes instead of us rushing into making mistakes. So for a sec, sometimes I like to think, what would UP, if we were City fans, have been saying?
Yeah.
And I think it's just the reverse of the first game. We created lots of problems for ourselves, and they created lots of problems for ourselves, a little bit through our pressure, but largely, even you're going to talk about Mane, and I don't think their goal was caused by our systematic pressure at the end, maybe to push them back in the first place.
Yeah.
But we got ahead through set piece, and then they made a mistake. And because we didn't make any mistakes, we were just really good at doing the things we were supposed to, the really simple things.
I agree with that, but I was going to say to you that my question to you was going to be that I think this is our most dominant half against the Pep team because we restricted them to virtually nothing. Have you ever seen a Pep team rendered so ineffectual in attack? And because there are lots of variations of expected threat models that are around on the internet, and I saw one of them which suggested that City had 0 expected threat in that first time, which basically means they couldn't do any kind of build-up or any kind of possession inside our half and getting around our box. They had that one little chance which came out of nowhere in the 3rd minute, which was like a 4% extra goals chance anyway. I mean, have you ever seen a Pep team that quiet, Si? And I think that is more to do with the way that we controlled the game, and that's why I'm saying it was our most dominant performance against them because we restricted them to nothing.
I don't agree. I think it's easy to get caught up in that narrative. I think we've been as good or better in possession in maybe 3 City games, always against City. I think we're great against each other usually, and there's usually one that imposes their will on the other, and I think we've done it brilliantly in 2 or 3 of the other matches. Champions League. In this game, I think Pep made a mistake tactically, and it left them ineffectual rather than we stopped their forwards getting the ball. Their forwards were absolutely terrible, and they gave the ball away in possession, and they didn't get in positions to receive possession. Do you remember Klopp was rambling on after the last game about their long ball threat and how they impose themselves, which was absolutely it was 1% up on their average. This game was their long ball threat was 15.8%, and their average is 7. So it was a big difference. They deliberately went after us. It doubled their long ball rate. Yeah. And it caused us no problems because they didn't bother. Their running came from much deeper, and the way they used their front 3 in the first game was to occupy our defenders, pull them to one side, and then switch to the opposite side to get a runner. In this game, maybe due to the way our forwards pressed early, which was completely different than in the last game, but also their forwards, they dropped in to like the 10 slot, all 3 of them at the same time. Yeah. So they were occupying nobody.
Yeah.
And it's no surprise he swapped them over at half time.
Yeah. Yeah, Grealish went out to the left, didn't he, for the second half, yeah.
Yeah.
Foden came in. So Rosie, we have to talk about the pressing because it was such a story in that opening half. And the Papa chart was put in for everybody. It's just right at the very, very top of the red zone in that first half. We got it down as 61 presses for us in that first 15 minutes. In the first 17 minutes to the City goal, and City only passed the ball 83 times. How did you see our? Was it fun to collect? First of all,
I think Si's right on a lot of those points. I think Pep got it tactically wrong. I think they were dominant against us in that away game because of, I thought, Rodri and Edison were the key misses in this game because they couldn't. Because we changed our tactics, and look at the intensity. It's right at the top, all the way up until we go 2-0 up. And then it drops slightly, but it's all in the red until we're 3-0 up. So we haven't been more intense as a pressing unit. And then we're 2-0 up by that point. So to me, that shows...
Dan, did you do the first game?
Yeah,
Gags.
No, Gags did the one at Anfield.
Right, so you did the league game 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So did you notice the difference in how we were positioning the forwards, the front 3?
Absolutely. We discussed it in the group about Muller and Mane dropped off onto their fullbacks in that away game, whereas in this we were pushed up and we pinned them back rather than the other way around.
Exactly.
We could only pin them back because they didn't have the outlet to get around because they had Rodri, who was superb, and they had Edison, who's a keeper who can just ping it about like Thiago. They had the ability to get around us. So even if we did try, and we were doing it in isolation as individuals in this, and I don't know why we did that, but in this game it was completely different. It was a unit. But not only that, we had the midfielders backing them up as well. Because if the front three go and try and press them as a unit, if there's no one marking the options or blocking the passing lanes or marking the players behind them, they can just flick it over the top. They're so good on the ball, but we didn't allow that because we had Naby and Thiago in this backing it up, whereas with Henderson wasn't doing that, and to an extent, Thiago wasn't doing that away either. So that's the key. I think it's a mishmash of both.
It was too easy, Rosie, wasn't it? Last week you said it was too easy for them to find a way past the press. They would just go side, and there would be a gap, and they'd play around it
as well. Yeah. They were making us fail in the presses because of their ability and their structure and their tactics.
But in this game, Rosie, we saw the most turnovers or possession wins from pressing that we've ever seen in a 90-minute match, because City number of times that they went, we pushed it and they got rid of it, Rosie, and it came straight back to us. They put a 30-40 yard pass down the field, didn't they? And we just picked it up straight back up and came again.
Absolutely. And not only that, but when they were trying to pass it out, they had no option, so they had to keep turning back and going back. And then we get higher and higher and compress, and then our centre backs are virtually on the halfway line, and then where they got to go.
Yeah,
and that's why they had to keep. That's why their long ball rate doubled, because they couldn't. There were no options.
So I've already put a long thread into the Under Pressure chat yesterday about this, just looking at what we've done with the position in the players, which Si referred to, and so you can see all the individual maps in there. But just in terms of our shape. Diaz and Salah were extremely wide in their pressing. They were very close, almost hugging the touchlines. Keita played kind of like in terms of where his locations were. He was all over the pitch, and he was an absolute pressing monster in this match. But he was primarily focused in the right side of the double false nine, which we saw at the start of last season, and where he played it with Bobby. And so he was on the right there. And then Mane had two primary positions. One was parallel to Keita, just further to the left, and then also the cluster of ones where he pressed Stefan, which is 11 times he pressed the keeper, including for the goal, obviously. But so it was kind of like Salah and Diaz extremely high and wide, Mane and Keita slightly deeper than the two wide players centrally, and in Fabinho and Thiago were much more reserved in this match. They didn't press that much. It was moderately low, only 52 between them, but theirs was very much a compact mid to low even block on off the ball work. So it was almost like a clear 4-4-2 with a box midfield for us off the ball in terms of where we were pressing.
Darth, what Thiago does, it manifests itself in that graphic in that way, because Thiago would only get a press if they managed to beat the front line.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they weren't beating the front line because the front three were pressing, were hounding them into a position, and Naby was there to create the block.
Yeah.
And the Thiago was really proactive in the press, but it wasn't front line, and he was just making sure that they didn't get into Foden or into Grealish or into the out ball.
So he was like the second wall.
He was Wijnaldum.
Right. Yeah. Okay. If they managed to somehow get through the first wall, then he was there in the mopper upper. Yeah.
Yeah. He caused the pressure. He caused the pressure by preventing the pass out. So that they had to change the angle of their movement and go to the position that we wanted them to go in, so we could pick them off.
Yeah. And so we have to credit Mo Salah in this match, Rosie.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely phenomenal performance. Mo and Mane had career max pressing number games in this. 49 presses for Salah, 47 for Mane. But it was just Salah's work against Zinchenko and Ake was just incredible, wasn't it, Rosie?
Unbelievable. Not only that, because you can have a high volume of press where you're just pushing players back and you're not getting much out of it. He had 14 high value presses down.
Yeah, forcing the turnovers constantly.
Yeah.
He put them under pressure and they'd panic and they get rid of the ball and we turn it over.
Look at the wall. Look at the volume. You've got Naby as our right side at 8, and then Salah, and they had 94 passes, 104 presses between them, with 25 high value presses. That is as good as it gets.
Yeah, and just on the tactical element of Mo's pressing side, what do you the fact that Diaz was so wide on the left against Cancelo, and Salah was so wide on the right. Was that something that you saw that was different from the first game?
I actually think it was very different because they weren't pressing in the first game. But from a positional perspective, I'll post the heat map now. But Mo played a little bit inside out, and in the first game he was outside in because they were because he was tracking the fullback. That he was always touchline around the touchline, and this time he was fading in, and then he was pinning Ake against or Zinchenko out against the touchline, because it's much easier to do with the left-footed player towards the left touchline because he's got nowhere else to go. It's much harder to do when you've got a two-footed player out that side.
Cancelo.
Exactly, and Cancelo's just a better player, but he's two-footed, so you can't control which angle he's gonna try to make the pass at, because he can just switch feet. And Zinchenko just doesn't play off his right foot like most left backs, so it's just an easier target to press if you can squeeze him towards the touchline, or if you can wrap around to push him away from the touchline. There's only one place he can go, like directly back to Ake or across the box, which is the most terrifying thing if you're one of the centre backs.
Absolutely.
But like that's just what we're saying. There's no point in Salah posting 49 presses if once he's doing it, there's no one backing it up, because it was 13 of them with turnovers. So he's forcing the errors. But that's only because Naby was there.
Yeah, and then at times Trent was there, and at times Thiago was there as well, all piling into that zone, Rosie. There was a number of times we really hemmed them in on that right-hand side in the first half with Zinchenko and Foden. It was just tremendous, the compression we got there in that zone of the pitch.
It definitely was. Foden was virtually anonymous, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Some of that might be due to the fact that he was concussed.
Probably, yeah.
Who cares? We had Mahrez.
Yeah, well, yeah, quite. I don't know why. But yeah, we need to call out Mo Salah again. 25 targets of Nathan Ake. I think it's hard to quantify this number because it's even in our data, it's difficult to get for single matches who pressed who the most. But 25 targets, I've rarely seen a figure that high for one player on another in a match. Just unbelievable. So yeah,
can we call out
another one-footed player as well?
Yeah. Sorry.
I would just aside from the pressing, what you just mentioned, Ake, I thought Ake was absolutely brilliant, and I thought he dealt with Mo better than Diaz would have done, and definitely better than Laporte would have done. So it was a really high caliber competition between those two.
Yeah, pretty much the only mistake that Ake made was when he got outjumped by Konate for the goal, wasn't it? He got the run on him.
Well, if you actually go back, it's where I said about luck. I put in the group, what did you think about that? Because there was a definite foul in there, and sometimes that's given. Most of the time, it's given, and in this one, it wasn't, and no one said a word about it, which I thought was interesting. I wonder if it was the Virgil effect, but Virgil just mullered. He mullered Grealish, and Grealish fell into Ake.
I thought
Ake couldn't jump.
Dave talked about this on Raw, right? Dave talked about this. They had Grealish and Jesus on Van Dijk and Konate, and Dave was saying that in Italy they do that a lot, where they put a really small player on the bigger players because they're going to foul them. So they can't jump, so they're just going to knock them over. And I just thought Van Dijk and Konate were just running for the ball. I don't think because Jesus didn't move. You know, he just stood there. And Grealish didn't move. He just stood there. So if you're not moving, what are you supposed to do? They're just running into him.
You can't run straight through somebody. You've got to go around them. They're allowed to stay in their own space.
Truck and trailer
side. But Virgil fully extended his arm. He properly shoved him. It wasn't just even a shoulder. It was a proper shove. And he got away with it, which is amazing. Like
a bit of luck.
Great, but that. Yeah. Exactly that. But I'm just saying, from Ake's perspective, he basically threw Grealish at him, and so it impeded his jump a little bit. But even that being said, I'm not sure he outjumps Konate anyway. Konate's an absolute monster. He's like 7'5",
especially
and he can jump over your house.
Especially once he's got a 4 meter running start and he's leaping. Unbelievable. The athleticism of these guys, these big guys that we've got, Si, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? He is an absolute specimen.
Virgil's the prototype of the new footballer. There's been lots of discussion in sports science over the last 5 years of whether I've talked about it on Fatigue Index a couple of times with a couple of guys. What is the right shape? What is the right physical profile for a footballer? Is it Jordan Henderson? Is it Adama Traore? Is it Konate? And I think largely it's coming to people are coming around to it being Virgil van Dijk is the perfect specimen. So he is uber strong and he can run for days and he is lightning quick. So Jordan doesn't have the strong thing going on, but he can run for days. And Konate is probably the opposite end of the spectrum to Hendo in that paradigm, but he's just more powerful and stronger, but he is still so fast. And unlike any previous generation, the previous generation of Konate would have been Sol Campbell maybe, who was still rapid, but nowhere near as fast off the mark as this version of footballer. And they're leaner and they can just produce force quicker off the mark.
And you know what, Si?
It's new.
And still only 22.
Yeah. So his decision, what will happen with him is his decision making will get better, and how he interacts with his other defender. Yeah. So he'll sniff danger in a different way.
Yeah, tremendous. Yeah, right. Okay. So what we're going to talk about next, right? I do want to talk about the duel between Cancelo and Diaz, who in that first half side, because he was absolutely tremendous. Diaz, I think, in all our attacking transitions that we had in that half, Diaz was the main threat. How did you see his performance?
Don't ask me. You two go fill your boots. I like Diaz. I think he's going to show something. I think he's going to be brilliant. I don't think he's anywhere near as good as people are eulogizing right now.
But I don't want to criticize him.
I don't want to criticize him. Right. You two do it. That's what I'm saying.
What would you criticize him for in this game? Though? I couldn't really see anything.
So, Roti, we haven't got much time, so let's press praise Diaz. I did love the line from Martin Keown. It said, "This lad could play in a telephone box." That's fucking great. But the number,
that was when he picked up the ball and with like two players around him, just skipped past him in the middle of the park, wasn't it?
Yeah. There was 3 times from a standing start where he beat 2 players into space, and one of the ones where he did that little chip over Cancelo. He was just phenomenal, wasn't he, Roti?
He was, and not just that, not just his on-ball work, not just being an option for when we were on the break, which he did a number of times. His pressing, he had the best efficiency, so how he's picked that up so quick, because I had concerns about him coming into a pressing unit. He wasn't, he was doing it at the right times, he was doing it well when he did it, he was doing it as part of a unit. Everything, his pace, his dribbling, he just needs to score more. That is the only thought, and it's going to come because he keeps getting chances, and you can see how frustrated he is as well. Particularly, I think it was at the Benfica game. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's. I think he's a revelation. So I can't see any flaws, and I'm interested in what your.
No, we'll do that another time when we get more time. Okay, when we get the pod with more time,
so I could watch more and have a look for it.
Yeah. So a couple of other ones we need to pick out in that first half, because we'll do Sadio now because we'll do the goal, but also Naby Keita, Roti, because I would say between the first goal and the second goal, our pressing, we've continually worked City into positions deep inside their penalty area where they had real trouble getting out, and there was a couple of loose passes straight out of play from the goalkeeper, before the mistake, but we gradually pinned them in. Roti is the best way to describe it. How did you see it when you were collecting?
There's a really good analysis by Michael Cox in The Athletic. If you go in the UP group, I've posted some of it in there, and he gives the screenshots and he shows how we kept getting them to turn back, and that's Naby on Silva, because obviously Silva was absolutely crucial in that away game for them. But that's because of his effectiveness with Rodri. In this game, he didn't have the outlet, so we were pushing him back, and he was going back to Zinchenko. And then you got
Naby 17 targets on Bernardo. 17.
And then you've got him doing it with Zinchenko as well, backed up by Moore. It was just constantly pinning him into that corner of the pitch. And I do think it led to the second goal, because I know he did have a ball out to Ake, but he had to go first time there, and then it had to be a good pass, and he's clearly not that good on the ball. So if there's a weakness in their opposition keeper, by having the organisation and everyone marking a player, it puts pressure on him. Now, it was an awful touch, but it is, there's a mistake that's, I think, caused by our effectiveness, and Naby was absolutely vital to that.
The way I would say, we kept on applying the pressure and squeezing and squeezing and squeezing until they cracked.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Okay. And it was a tremendous tackle/shot. I'm surprised he didn't bundle the keeper into the net as well, to be honest, Rhodesy.
Lots of stats guys getting a little bit going, oh, what is this? How is that a shot? And is it a tackle? And I think it was Tom Wervel who posted, Opta data providers are now worrying about how to define XG for a tackle and stuff like that. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's gone down as pretty much an 80%. 85% XG chance, because that's the way we have to manage these things at the moment. But yeah, and then in between, Si, coming back to you now, just that period then from 2-0 and then also into maybe the hour mark, we had 62% of the ball against the Pep team. That's unheard of, to have that much of the ball and have that much control of the play. And one player particularly stood out for us on the ball, and that was Thiago. Absolutely sublime performance from him, Si.
If you want to dominate possession, I think you want Thiago in your team. Though Naby, I thought he might have been better. But both of them are just technically sensational. I've never seen a midfielder do the things that Thiago does. He's just he blows my mind. He's
see the body swerve about 20 minutes in after 2-0. That body swerve when he got away from two players, unbelievable.
He really is unbelievable. And I think there was a moment in the second half. I posted a video of it earlier. Ali kicked the ball out. It got headed back. He brought it down on his thigh, did a kick up, and then shunted it 40 yards, 50 yards maybe, and it was going towards the penalty area on the volley, and it just faded 20 yards to the right to Mo's feet.
Yeah, what a pass.
He is an utter sensation. Yeah. Every game he puts in, we talk about Trent might even be the best Liverpool player of all time by the end of his career. Yeah. And some of the passes that Trent does, I think Trent is Trent is wonderful. Nobody loves him more than us. Trent is very, very lucky to have the opportunity to learn from Thiago, because not many players. I don't think there are many players that have the motor control and the ability to learn in a physical way that Trent does. He has picked up stuff from the other brilliant players at Liverpool, and you can see he's taken a little bit from Virgil here. He's taken a little bit from Hendo here. He's taken a little bit from Bobby, but having Thiago to learn passing, this extended passing from, my God, it's like learning to paint from Picasso.
Yeah, well, and to be honest, he had a chance. And for the third goal side, he had a chance to learn from pretty damn close up to him, because Trent was involved twice in that move, and so was Thiago. So do you want to have the pleasure of walking us through the decisive goal?
Sensational. I think Mo's pressure ended up with Trent getting the ball at right back.
Correct.
He pinged a 740-yard ball to Diaz, who faked inside. Robbo had a shot that was blocked, and then ended up getting to Thiago into Trent, who'd carried on up the pitch. A little 1-yard pass around the corner, And then Thiago did this thing, I'm not sure what. He did some alien pass, little dinky, chippy thing over somebody's shoulder. And there was Mane. I've no idea why I think he'd gone for a McDonald's, noticed that the ball was still there, and he was still hungry, so he slammed it so he could run off and get a drink. I'm not sure. It was unbelievable. It was stuff that never happened, and it was magical.
Yeah, Mane played the initial pass back to Trent for the crossfield ball, and then just turned around and then just turned around and kind of jogged and then saw, oh, this might come here, and there was loads of space.
But you were right, side. The original thing did come from a possession win from pressing as well, and just turned the ball over, and then started the move. And so it was just. I mean, it's like a 4% chance from there, Rhodesy, 5% chance for Mane from that position.
Yeah, it's that.
But he absolutely laced it, didn't he? And the fade on the ball inside the post. Was that better goal than the equaliser in the 18-19 fixture at the Etihad? Bobby's goal.
No.
Yeah.
Full back to Robbie. Yeah, there's a Bobby.
I thought there was a more contrasting set of skills on showing this goal, because you had the raking crossfield pass, and then you had the little dink when Thiago was stretching, and then you had our right back in the number 10 position flicking back to Thiago, and then you had the little flick from Thiago to Mane, and then you've got just a ridiculous finish. Keeper no chance.
Yeah,
it's incredible fantasy. I like a goal like you'll get. Say a Beckham thunder bastard from 40 yards that goes into the top corner, or Fabs against City. That was tremendous. Yeah. What a sensational goal, right? But you could there are goals like, I think Bobby's against City where he chipped it and it went in off the post. Like, I prefer the extreme skill. Like that, nobody has that technique and they meant it, rather than a hit and hope. And a hit and hope, it does disservice to a footballer, because that hit and hope can go in 10 out of 100 shots, but it's still probably only going to go in 10 out of 100 shots on the training ground. And Mane will try that shot 100 times and it might go in 3. Yeah. On the training ground, nobody else around.
Because he's cutting across it, isn't he?
Yeah, and it came off his shin a little bit and rolled down. But that's what happens. That's how those goals go in, right? But I prefer the powerful caress of this is all under total control of one of those amazing Bobby finishes. And to be fair, Mane's done it a few times as well. Like the left foot fading crash into the top corner. A couple of inside out with like a real powerful shot with the inside of his foot. The volley against Southampton. But this looks spectacular like nothing else. And
it was just a way to cap off that move. That's the thing, wasn't it? The finish to cap off. That move.
Exactly. Yeah, it was perfect for that move.
Yeah.
Watch the goal again, right? And when it goes in, watch Thiago. He's on about the penalty spot. Watch him just puff his chest out and just stand there for a second or two and just go, fucking yes. What a
So,
you know what a goal. But you know what a phenomenal goal is, right? When Virgil wasn't already celebrating.
Rhodesy, we have to talk about Naby Keita. This kid's performance here was he broke our. We've collected 300 games now. You and Gags have collected 300 games pressing, and this is the most possession adjusted presses we've ever seen. 65.1 he had in his 74 minutes on the pitch. The previous record was 60.1. That was what Ox against Man United in the title winning season.
Was it? I thought it was against.
No. That was when Ox had his 60 odd pressing games. We only had 37% possession in those games. So this was I think we had 51% possession in this game. But while Naby was on the pitch, we had I think it was 54% possession. It's tremendous. He was just everywhere. And I think the first time this season, Matt Rhodesy, you've already alluded to it, we managed to get to Bernardo And it reminded me a bit of the League Cup final where he basically went man-to-man with N'Golo Kante, and he basically took him on at his own game inside the Chelsea half. He was tremendous, wasn't he, Rhodesy?
I genuinely can't remember us doing that to Silva because he's that good at evading the press. He's that good at positioning to get the ball. He's that good at turning. And finally didn't give him a sniff. Now, again, I think that's to do with not having Roger there, but just the sheer volume and the effectiveness. And then I think, was it Si who posted in the group, spot when Naby went off. That's the same for the pressing intensity. That's the same for the shot. It suddenly had a load of shots. It's just, thankfully, people, hopefully now, those fans who doubted Naby will start to come around and realise how ridiculously suited he is for this system when he's fit and playing.
And did you see similarities, because you collected the League Cup final, didn't you, against Chelsea as well? Did you see similarities with what he did with Bernardo versus what he did with Kante?
Absolutely. He's constantly there because he's also there in you're not aware. He does it like we give Wijnaldum the title Ghost. This is what he was doing. He was ghosting to Silva. He was ghosting to Zinchenko.
And he's literally there to. He's so combative, isn't he? The way he gets in people's faces and he gets right in there. As they're receiving the ball, it's just fantastic.
And not fouling them. The efficiency was good. I think he might have given away one, maybe two fouls for presses, but good timing fouls as well. So there's again, when you think you might fail the press and lose your man, and then they're gone and into space and hitting you on the break, he was going, right, I'll just foul you then. I'm not going to stop you here, so I'll just foul you. I can't press you. I'll just take you down. It's that cynical brilliance, isn't it? You've got to have both. You've got to have the effectiveness to stop players from turning and pinging balls, but then you've also got to know when to just give them a good kick.
The efficiency of all the front four was tremendous, Rhodesy. All four, right. And the lowest was Salah with 88 was the lowest possession efficiency.
All 9 out of 10 of all those players were good, with excellent presses. Yeah,
and as we said at the start, position the whole thing. The record number of possession wins was the result of all this.
So 50, what was it? 64 did
55 possession wins, plus we had another 9 leading to counter-attacks and another 2 leading to shots. So 66 in total. And the ball in play time was probably no more than 60 minutes. It's unbelievable.
What's the record that Naby set then for
65 possession adjusted presses.
65, bloody hell.
Yeah. So
that takes some beating.
Yeah, I was going to ask him. We're running short on time here. I was going to ask Si about Alisson and his distribution. It was the only slight downer on my heart. My entire first half was Ali's distribution. But I just want to talk. We'll have to touch quickly on the second half for Si. I know City made a tweak and they got the early goal, and it finished 3-2. But I honestly thought that score 3-2 really flattered City. How did you see it?
I didn't think it flattered City. I thought that they played some tremendous stuff and they easily could have equalised. I think it shows the value of Alisson. When second half, they came out and they battered us. We expected them to, but they did. And they easily could have got a second goal within 3 or 4 minutes after the first goal. We were a bit flat. Robbo made a couple of mistakes really early.
Yeah.
But we have Ali in goal. And he shut them up. He shut them down. They got a 1-on-1 with Jesus, exactly how they'd have wanted it. And Ali saved it brilliantly. And that moment changed the game.
That came from a pressing fail, didn't it, Rhodesy? The Jesus 1-on-1.
Hendo.
It did. Hendo,
yeah. There was three presses leading to shots for City in the second half, and none in the first half.
There you go. But after that, go on.
Virgil gave it away.
No, I thought that. It was strange why he was so deep for that chance to play him onside. It looked like he was trying to discuss it with Alisson when Konate was passing the ball out and then thought, oh shit, they've got it back. And then couldn't decide whether he wanted to cover and try and get to Jesus or push and play the line. He was caught in mix between playing the offside trap and what to do.
Oh, sorry, did you think it was just City up in their game? It was maybe, did we run out of gas a little? And did the subs make a difference for us, or a combination of all of it?
I think a combination of all of it. I thought it was, so we were the better team first half, but mainly we scored in the first half. We didn't really create anything above there. Second half, the first 15, they were a little bit better than us maybe, but they created the goal from our mistake, and then we had one chance each.
It was a really nice finish from Grealish, but low percentage as well. It was a good finish, that was, because it wasn't much place in the goal which wasn't covered by Alisson or Trent, to be fair.
Yeah. It was decent finish. The only thing he did in the match was not true. He set up Jesus as well, didn't he? Because he ran off the back of.
He was pretty quiet over the rest of the time. Yeah.
Terrible. And then until 75, until Naby went off, nothing else really happened for either team. And only when Naby went off, they got properly into the game, and it went back and forward. It felt like they battered us, but apart from Mo had a really good chance, and then
what was Zinchenko doing there with that header?
It's just one of those errors, isn't it? It's just another.
I know they didn't. I know it didn't end in shots for us, but I thought our counter-attacking situations from pressing there was about 5 Rhodesy in the second half, and I thought Salah was absolutely brilliant on the ball in the second half. The only thing lacking was just that final pass and the finish. But
Diaz as well, yeah. Diaz took the ball down to set up that Salah chance, and that was from a Robbo over the top. His control was amazing. He tries to flick it around the stones, and then Zinchenko decides he wants to head it from about half a yard.
But there was a few other ones where the final ball wasn't quite there.
Yeah, when we
was still
shot.
But
that's my criticism of Diaz. I don't think I've seen him put a good pass in yet.
Yeah. But did I mean, you're Mo's biggest fan, as we know, Si, but I thought he was tremendous in that second half. What did you think?
No, but it's not that I don't like him. I do like him. It's just
Mo.
You know what I'm like?
No, I was asking you about Mo.
Credit.
Yeah.
I thought Mo was almost Mo without the extreme, like, I'm closing my eyes and going to backheel it into the top corner of 30-yard confidence that he had in November and December. So he was positionally right. He was making the right runs at the right time. His touch was good. It just wasn't quite going. Like, even the ran the keeper dink off his foot, off his right foot. It was inches wide. Yeah. It was just luck.
But like he was so. I thought he was so threatening in that channel against Zinchenko.
Yeah.
And you said I did think Ake defended him quite well 1-on-1 in the duel.
Ake tackled him in the box twice.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Like, and actually, at one point, he nearly did the City goal. He nearly did the goal that he did earlier in the season. He went past 2 players inside the box.
Do your Trent praise?
Just as he was pulling back, Ake got the ball.
Yeah, you have to mention Trent's defending as well, Si. We haven't touched.
Trent was absolutely tremendous. I think he won 6 out of 6 duels. He won 4 tackles within a meter of the box or inside the box. Yeah. They were running at him and he just stopped them.
Brilliantly timed as well, weren't they?
Yeah,
hopefully the narrative is now
on the
dead,
wrong leg,
isn't it? Hopefully the narrative is now dead. It's been killed by that game.
Oh my God! Even the I don't know. Did you see the BBC coverage? They literally spent 5 minutes with pre-planned videos proving how terrible a defender he is.
Yeah, but then he goes and poses in a match like that. So anyway, it was all. If they're there for the whole. Yeah, hopefully that's it.
As we're here for stats, I wanted to point out one set of stats that I think is key in this game compared to the first game. Right. The listeners would have heard me ramble on about possession control so far this season, which is basically all the times a player recovers possession of the ball for us against all the times they lose possession of the ball for us. Wijnaldum was the king of possession control. This season it's Thiago. But going back to the first 15 minutes in the first game when we were terrible, right? That was the difference. And total in the possession control of Trent, Van Dijk, Fabinho, and the right-sided 8 had in the first game had a -13, and in this game had a +9.
Yeah,
That's a huge swing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we quite value what this means, but that's massive. That you've got these lads and they're just not giving the ball away, and that's why we were able to control the game. And then the opposition are the ones that feel fragile, and we can create pressure on them, and then they're the ones that panic.
So you can post your possession control stuff in the UP channel for the subscribers anyway. Rosie, final question from you is why don't City start Riyad Mahrez?
It's not for me, is it? It's for Pep. I've no idea. Especially with in this, it was absolutely suited for him in this game with Foden.
Yeah.
Clearly not right after that Atletico game, and I have no idea. It's that for me.
If it was my decision, I'd be starting him every week. But he looks tremendous to me. But anyway,
no idea.
Any other business, chaps?
No, we've got United tomorrow. It's just constant, isn't it?
It's constant. I was about to say is that we are back on Friday. And listeners, if you're really, really lucky, Mr. Tandon might be back to host it. To be confirmed. But we will be back. It's a single header. My God, luxury, Rosie. How about luxury? A single header.
I'm definitely hoping that it's not going to be 300 presses against United.
No, it's not. But then after that, we will be back. And then after that, it'll be Everton and Villarreal. Some point, maybe the next two pods might both be on Fridays.
Yeah.
People, so it's all we're just reacting to the schedule at the moment, trying to fit these in when we can. But we really hope that you've enjoyed that one. A lot of fun to do this one. A lot of effort's gone in as normal. But always give us your feedback. And until Friday, up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.